The incoming chairman of the House Oversight Committee is looking to chop the federal government down to size. Congressman Darrell Issa is planning to obtain new subpoena powers for dozens of agency watchdogs, then unleash them on wasteful, abusive programs and the president's policy czars, maybe. Joining us now are Republican Congressman John Campbell of California and Democratic Congressman Engel of New York. Good to see you both. Congressman Engel, let me start with you. If it's true that the goal of these expanded House investigations is to push aggressively to cut spending and shrink the government, would you endorse what your colleagues across the aisle are planning to do?
I would endorse it if that were really the motive, and I hope it's the motive, and time will tell. There are obviously programs that have waste and abuse. We need to cut those programs. It's not a partisan thing. We all want to see government more streamlined. But on the other hand, if this is just a repetition of what Republicans did during the last time there was a Democratic president, during the Clinton years, where they shut down the government and with thousands and thousands of subpoenas, then it becomes more political games, and it's really not
Congressman Engel,
worth anything.
If you would endorse the genuine motives here, the question is, why didn't you guys do it? I mean, the current chairman of the Oversight Committee, Adolphus Towns, who is a Democrat, he supported a bill to authorize greater subpoena powers for all of the inspectors general, but your party never made it a priority. Indeed, it never happened. Can one conclude that Democrats didn't really care enough about cutting spending?
Well, no more than we can conclude that since Republicans had the majority of the House during 6 of the 8 years of the Bush administration, and they didn't make any moves to do so then, that they weren't concerned.
Yeah, but I'm asking why you guys. I mean, don't blame the other guys. Why didn't you guys do it?
I think that we all need to get together. I think the American people, quite frankly, are tired of the finger pointing and of the gotcha games and one party versus another. Right. I think the truth of the matter is we all know we need to reduce the deficit, and we all know that we need to streamline government. There are things that we can do that, and I think we should. Yeah. But there are other things that we should not do, frankly, like give tax breaks to billionaires.
Congressman Campbell,
I think it's a combination
well, let's not go there. That's going down a different road. Congressman Campbell, you know, and you just heard it, what the skeptics are saying. Congressman Engel said it, that the expanded use of investigations and agency watchdogs may turn out to simply be an excuse for House Republicans, your party, to turn this into a broader politically motivated crusade to bring down President Obama and other Democrats. What do you say to that?
I think the proof will be in the pudding here as we go forward. But one of the things that was one of the central parts, actually, of the Pledge to America was that we are going to roll back spending to the levels of 2008, and that we are going to start to get this debt and this deficit under control. And one of the ways to do that, I mean, we could go around and just cut everything an equal amount across the board on all the agencies, but we don't think that's the right thing to do. I mean, Congressman Issa's committee will be doing a lot of hearings, but I think every committee is going to be doing a lot of hearings, looking into all of these agencies and departments and trying to figure out a lot of these departments and so forth that just don't need to be there at all anymore.
But Congressman Campbell, if you guys start launching investigations into some of the policy czars like Elizabeth Warren, I mean, wouldn't that be the kind of partisanship that Americans are sick and tired of?
Well, but let's remember, I mean, partisanship or the right thing to do here, let's remember that a lot of these czars, the reason they're called czars is because they have a great deal of authority and responsibility, but they weren't ever confirmed by the Senate. Now, many of us believe that that's just wrong, that these should have been Senate confirmable.
You've heard what John Boehner said. He wants you guys to focus, to use these subpoena powers and your watchdog powers to go after abuse and waste and so forth. Congressman, speaking of which, Republicans have actually drawn up a list of programs and agencies that they believe are guilty of waste and fraud and abuse. Here's part of the list. $40 billion a year in Medicare fraud and waste, tens of billions in subsidies to Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, $8.5 billion in losses to the Postal Service in the last fiscal year, tens of millions spent on redundant agencies and programs. Are these the things that could be cut to improve the budget deficit? And again, if so, how come you guys didn't do it?
Well, potentially, I think it could, but I'm glad the Republicans have this great epiphany, you know, when they just sat there for all those years and didn't do anything. But if this is really an attempt to try to ferret out waste and abuse, I don't think you can justify it. But if we pretend that that alone is going to balance our budget, and again have these tax cuts for wealthy people that take a bite out of our budget, you know, an interesting statistic is that a millionaire would get $104,000 more per year if you extend the tax cuts. That's not justified either. So I think a combination of both. You don't extend tax cuts for millionaires and billionaires, and you ferret out waste and fraud and abuse.
Why didn't you guys go after the $40 billion in alleged Medicare fraud or waste, Congressman Engel? Why didn't you do that?
You know, we went after it in the health care bill, and we were accused by the Republicans of cutting Medicare. So I think that kind of you know, works both ways. No one is going to say that we should not ferret out waste and need to do it. The trouble is, you know, frankly, I think both parties are responsible. I don't think it's one party or the other party. And I think it's time that we sit down together, do what's right for the American people, and I think that's what they want us to do.
Congressman Campbell, you're on the Financial Services Committee. Will you be scrutinizing the administration's efforts to tighten regulation on Wall Street with an eye toward, you know, making some changes on the new regs?
In a word, yes. Most of us on the Republican side of the aisle, I believe virtually all of us, did not vote for and did not like the financial regulatory reform. We think it's going to make loans more expensive and harder to get, and that's the opposite of what we need. So we will definitely be looking into that.
All right, Congressman John Campbell, Congressman Eliot Engel, good to see you both. Thanks so much.
Thank you.